Hello everyone and welcome back to the SmeeSports YouTube channel, where today we find ourselves at Padua Franciscan High School in Parma, the home of the Padua Bruins, where today we sat down and talked with a lot of key players on this Padua football team, along with their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator, and then their head coach Kevin Kubit, ahead of this big 2025 campaign. Padua last year 5-5 in the regular season, made it all the way to the regional final before bowing out to Toledo Central Catholic. They have aspirations to make it back to the regional final for the third time in 4 years and do what they didn't do in either of those two prior trips, and that is win the big thing to make it to the Final Four. So come on over with me and let's go and talk to some Bruins. Before we get today's video and interviews underway, to stay up to date on all the games that we are covering, follow SmeeSports on Instagram and SmeeFist 2024 on Twitter. As well, subscribe down below to the SmeeSports YouTube channel. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers, so make sure you go and subscribe now, as we have a lot of great things planned for the rest of 2025. Now let's get on with the video. All right, we are here with Brady Dvorah of the Padua Bruins. It's your senior year, last chance to go all the way to the Final Four. Talk about your thoughts heading into this year. You guys were so close last year, but just fell in that regional final, a tough game against Toledo Central Catholic.
Yeah, we had a great season last year, and we're ready to come back this year. Obviously, compete to our best efforts.
Looking at last regular season, 5-5 record, that did just enough for you guys to get a decent spot in the playoffs, and that run was very forgiving. You had Midview first, then Buckeye, and then Benedictine. Talk about that underdog mentality, a mentality that has been around this program for a number of years.
Yeah, I mean, we were going into every game in the playoffs as an underdog, even against Midview, which was a home game. So, I mean, that kind of fueled us to just, do our best again, compete. So, yeah.
With you now being a senior opposed to the prior years, you are expected to be that vocal guy in the locker room, a guy on the field who can take over and be a good leader. Talk about your connection with some of the other leaders that you have had over the past couple of years and how they have helped get you ready for your role now.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the guys last year, they were kind of my mentors for the past couple of years, and that helps me in my relationships with the younger guys too.
Last year, you had a decent role in the offense, 203 yards and 1 score. Talk about the jump that you're going to have to take this upcoming year. Obviously, no more Rod, no more Christian, no more Riley. It's you now who has to step up.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of younger guys who are ready to step up, but like you said, I'm ready to just put it out on the field.
Looking at the schedule, a lot of the same teams that you guys saw last year, but looking at my notes, Big Walnut's a new one. They did really good in Division II last year. Bedford's a new one. They're an up-and-coming organization. And then CVCA Week 9. What are your thoughts on those new teams as the other 7 you guys saw last year?
I think it's great. Facing new competition every year, I feel like it's a great opportunity for us.
And finally, what would be a personal goal for you heading into your senior year?
I just want to have fun and make the playoffs again. That'd be great.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.
We are here with Nick Kelly, interview number 2 of the day. Heading into this campaign as a rising junior, what are your thoughts? High school football halfway done for you, but still 2 more years left to go for you to make a big impact in this organization.
Yeah, it's exciting to have a chance to play varsity football at such a young age and just compete out there with these guys. It's great opportunity.
And last year you had a great campaign individually, 76 tackles, 14 TFLs, and then 4 sacks. Talk about your role on that defense, obviously playing a little bit more deep in the secondary as a linebacker. Your connection with Devin Shaw Mason was, I'm sure, a big one for you as a linebacker. Talk about that and how you were able to grow in year number 2.
Yeah, Devin was a big mentor for me. Taught me how to play the game, learn varsity football, and just get my head right for those games.
Looking back at last year's playoff run, 3-1 in 4 games. In all 4 games, you guys were underdogs. Talk about that mentality and how everybody bought into being the underdog throughout those games.
Yeah, going into the games, we knew we were going to be underdogs. We didn't have the most spectacular regular season, but just going into those games with the mentality, just competing and looking ahead, that was a big part of it.
And early on in that season, there was a struggle to find consistency. I believe you guys shut out 2 teams, but at the same time, 2 teams shut you guys out in, I would say, back-to-back weeks. Talk about that kind of meshing where one week you guys score 21, allow nothing, and then the opposite happens the next week.
Yeah, the first few weeks of the season we were dealing with quite a few injuries, so it kind of just disrupted the team chem a lot. And once playoffs came, everyone got healthy, and we just found a rhythm and was able to go.
Going back to week 1 last year at Alliance, that was a big win for you guys. I'm sure that was a fun moment for you, getting to play at a college stadium. This year, it's a lot different. A lot of the same pieces coming back, yes, but a lot of pieces have vacated from both teams. How do you guys find balance between, okay, we took these guys out last year in week 1, but this is a new season at the same time?
We just got to go into it with the same mentality we had last year. Can't really dwell too much on the past. You just got to look forward and face Alliance week 1.
And finally, what is a personal goal for you this season?
I want to increase my sack number this season, just playing better against the offensive line.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
We're here with Aan Midday, a rising senior at Padua. This is it, final year of high school football for you. What are your thoughts heading in?
I'm excited to get started. I'm excited to play week 1 against Alliance and, just be with the guys and playing football again.
Last season you had a really good campaign, 84 tackles, 8 of them for loss, and then 1 sack. Obviously, numbers only tell part of the story, but on a personal level, how do you feel your junior year went?
I think it went all right. Defense, I was off to a kind of a slow start, but got it going during the middle of the season. And then offense, I'm looking to have a bigger role this year.
Looking at the playoff run last year for you guys, 3-1 in 4 games, and that 1 loss was against Toledo Central Catholic, which is a giant in its own right. But the 3 wins you guys had, all of which were underdog victories. Talk about that underdog mentality and how you guys were able to buy into that, not only in the playoffs, but also throughout the entire regular season.
I think during the regular season, we were tested a lot in our 5 losses and our wins, and that prepared us for when we got to the playoffs, and we're an underdog for the first every game, actually.
Throughout your time at Padua, one thing you can say about your time on the football team is balance. Your freshman year, 8-6, sophomore year, 4-6, junior year, back to 8-6, and back to the regional final. You see how history could repeat itself this year. How do you guys avoid that 4-6 record?
We've been competing in practice, working hard in the weight room during the off season, and I think it's going to translate when we're playing games.
And now you being a senior, you're one of the guys being asked to step up and to be a leader of this team. Talk about your connection with some of the leaders over the past couple of years and how they have helped shape you into the leader that you are expected to be, right now.
Yeah, they've definitely helped me a lot, not even just like on the football field, but outside of there, and just growing as a person and growing as a leader.
Looking at the schedule, 6 of the same teams from the regular season last year, 7 familiar opponents as Benedictine was the one that you saw in the playoffs. But 3 teams that you guys did not see last year, Bedford, Big Walnut, and CVCA. What are your thoughts on that full schedule, especially those 3 new teams, as you really haven't seen too much of them?
Yeah, it's exciting that we get to play them, and we've scrimmaged Bedford, but now it's a real game, and we're excited to have some new competition.
And finally, what is a personal goal for you this year?
Obviously, I want to go back to the playoffs, and I want to have a bigger role, like on offense as well as defense.
Awesome, thank you. We are here with Antonio Hadad, a rising senior. Talk about your senior year. Obviously, for the first 3 years, this is what you've been looking forward to, being one of the big guys on this team. Now that it's here, what are your thoughts heading in?
It's very exciting being a senior and being like a leader on the team, and just ready to go out and play with the guys.
This year's going to be an interesting one for Padua. A lot of the guys who have been with this program for a long time, they're gone, graduated, and a lot of them are playing college ball, one of which being Brandon Hamidi, who was a left guard. You being a right guard, it's somewhat comparable, just a lot of the plays flipped. Talk about your connection with Brandon last year and really throughout your time at Padua, and how has he helped you become the right guard that you hope to be this year?
He was a great role model by like the way he played and the type of person he was. And he just helped lead me, and I just learned from the way he played.
Looking defensively last year, 27 tackles, 1 TFL, and according to Max Preps, 1 interception. Just talk about your time on defense and how you can take that next step this year.
I take that next step by hopefully getting a sack and just going out there and playing defense, I guess.
Familiarity can be a good thing in the sport of football, and you guys have that 7 times out of 10 in the regular season. 7 familiar opponents from last year, but the 3 wild cards of Bedford, CVCA, and Big Walnut. How do you guys prepare for those games as, albeit some guys might be gone, they're still the same teams for the most part that they were last year, especially CVCA as they bring back a lot of their core that made it really far in the playoffs?
We just go into each game like they're all the same. We just go, we prepare, and play our game, and just practice the same.
And looking specifically at week 1, it's Alliance once again, but they're coming to you guys. This is not the first time that you have seen a 2-year series of an EBC team. The first time it was Salem. How do you guys go up against these Stark County teams? It's a different county, and they play things a lot differently than they're played here in Cuyahoga.
We go out and we play football, really. That's really it.
And then finally, what is a personal goal for you this year?
To just be a better overall football player.
Awesome, thank you. We are here with Bo Barney. It's your senior year. This is your last opportunity as a Bruin to potentially make it to that Final Four. But first of all, you guys have to go through the regular season. What are your thoughts on the schedule that you have in front of you heading into this year?
I think it's a hard schedule. We got a lot of teams that we faced last year. We played Benny last year. They were a good team, tough team. We lost a lot of seniors this year, but we're ready. The younger guys are ready to step up. So,
as you said, a lot of guys leaving the program after last year due to graduation. How can players like yourself step up this year using the mentorship from those guys last year and the guys before them?
Yeah, obviously we got pretty big shoes to fill on the offensive and defensive line, but I think those guys have helped me and Antonio get ready for that senior level.
And going into this year, physicality is a big thing for the line, and there's going to be a couple of new guys in the backfield. How do you guys work with a new quarterback and running back? You're used to Nick and Rod doing their thing in the backfield, but 2 new figures. How do you guys find that balance and know how much time you have to give them based on what you've seen in practice so far?
I think just trust. I think we got to make sure the quarterback and running backs trust us up front, and then we obviously got to trust them in the backfield.
And looking at the schedule, you said it's a difficult one, but 7 familiar teams, 3 new ones. Do you have any games specifically circled on this schedule, or is it a week at a time mentality?
Definitely Holy Name. That's one game that we have to win. Didn't get it done last year, but we're definitely going to get it done this year.
And finally, what is a personal goal for you heading into your senior campaign?
Just play the best ball that I can. I don't think I performed as great as I could have last year, so just always getting better.
Awesome, thank you. We are here with Padua's offensive coordinator, James Flowers, class of 2010. It's a big year for you guys. It's a transition year. A lot of your big pieces from last year's offense are gone. Heading into this year, how do you adapt to that?
Yeah, so, each year is different. Each class is different. Guys graduate, guys move on. So really our goal this offseason and during camp is to figure out our identity. To figure out what personnels we want to use, what plays we're going to be the best at, and try to rep those as much as we can. So we're trying to figure out who we are.
And this is not the first time that you've lost big offensive pieces in the last couple of years. When Marquise left, there was a lot of questions of, okay, who would be that guy to take over? Then Rod Love comes out and rushes for 1,500 yards each of the past 2 seasons. Is there a guy that looks like that stands out to you right now in camp, or is that still being determined?
That's still being determined, and honestly, it's going to be more of a, right now, running back by committee. Some guys do things extremely well. Some guys do things better than others. So it's putting those guys in the best position to succeed, where a guy like Rod Love, no matter where you put him, he's going to find success. Where, this year we're going to have a number of guys in the backfield with our quarterback. So I'm excited to see who really steps up and fills those shoes.
And speaking of quarterback, you told me before we began there's not one answer of who QB1 is. Just walk us through that process of deciding who the quarterback is and just who are the main players right now in contention for that QB1 spot.
So we have 2 seniors and a junior competing right now. Landon Hanover, Grant McClellan, and the junior is Colin Graylis. They've been competing all camp long, all summer long. I wouldn't say right now one has the leg over the other, although I'm still grading last week's practice film, so we'll see. And really it's going to be determined by, I think, our scrimmages, against North Royalton and then Avon Lake. So once we get competition, it's really going to, I think the cream is going to rise to the top.
Last year, your offense averaged around 21 points per game, so in and around 3 touchdowns. But twice you guys were blanked. Just talk about staying consistent, and especially this year, a slightly different schedule, a new cast. How important is it to stay consistent, especially this year?
It's extremely important, and looking back at the film from last year, one of our biggest points of emphasis is staying on schedule. meaning we want to be in a favorable third down distance. When we get into third and longs, we struggle finding success, and most football teams will. So we want to stay on schedule. We want to average 3 to 4 yards per play and get us into third and shorts, third and mediums, where we can stay on the field as an offense.
Looking forward to week 1, which is still a couple of weeks away. It's a home game against Alliance, a team that you guys beat last year. When you talk to your offense during that instill period, are you going to more focus on last year's film saying, okay, this is how these guys got it done? Or are you going to look at that film against a Royalton or an Avon Lake and say, this is how we got it done here, so this is what we're going to do on the 22nd?
I think early on, as we start practice, it's about, running our plays against a base defense, or the defenses we're going to see the most. As we get closer and closer to Alliance, we're going to start really doing a scouting report and going against the defense that they're going to give us. But right now it's about executing versus a number of different looks, and making sure our guys see as much as they can.
And then finally, what is a personal goal for you and then your offense heading into 2025?
That's a tough one. Personal goal. I'd like us to be a balanced offense, both run and pass. So, we have similar run yardage and pass yardages. And I'd like to improve upon that points per game. I'd like to be at like 28 points per game. I think 4 touchdowns is going to win us a lot of games.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep.
We are here with Padua's defensive coordinator, Andy Shuman, class of 95. Coach, it's another exciting year. Year 3 back with the Bruins. Talk about your thoughts heading into 2025.
We're super excited. This is a really close group, this team. Over the summer, we've really pushed them hard, and they've kind of rose to the challenges we've set forth, and I love how they've gelled as a team.
As I asked Coach Flowers and I also asked Coach Kubitt, a lot of guys graduating after last year, so a lot of new faces stepping up into the number 1 slot at their position. Just talk about the battles that you have overseen defensively and how you make those decisions, whether it be you see the thing in January that you want to see or you see it on August 21st.
Right. So we had a lot of experience graduate, not just in my time as a coach, but also long time throughout the program. That was a lot of experience, guys who had a lot of snaps under their belt. So we've been evaluating them from day 1 of the offseason on every little thing. They know that, they're aware of that. We put them in competition as much as we can. And so we are looking for that. We've been looking for that all offseason. And then this summer and at camp, you hit the nail on the head. We're putting them in position out on the field, in the classroom, testing their knowledge, obviously their abilities. We're not looking to replace anybody. You can't do that, number 1. And number 2, that's not fair to this group. We're excited about what this group brings to the table. And as a defensive coordinator, I'm excited to tailor to the defense to all of their abilities and what they do really well.
And then going on that sentiment, you obviously cannot replace those guys. There were so many top guys. Maybe the biggest one on your defense, Devin Shaw Mason. And that Shaw Mason family has been a stronghold and a mainstay in Padua football for pretty much as long as Padua can remember at this point.
Yeah.
To have to replace a name like that, just talk about how you kind of keep your mind saying, okay, we're not trying to replace a name or a player. We're just trying to see from this crop who is the best. I'm sure it's the same with all the defense, but you see that name and you just think, okay, Padua middle linebacker.
Yeah, right. What helps you, I'm obviously been coaching a long time, so you kind of, in high school, you're used to that. There's always turnover, so you know that you have to be looking for the next person to fill a position, but it's not going to fill that person's shoes. So when you're specifically speaking about Devin and his abilities, Devin's a special football player, so when we're trying to fill his position on the field, I'm not looking for the next Devin. I'm looking to see what that next individual can do really, really well and try and make things work for him within the scheme of the defense and for the other 10 guys on the team. But more importantly, like Devin is a heck of a person, heck of a leader. So, if you're asking like, what do I feel like probably is most missed from that? It's his leadership. It's who he is as a person. We had a lot of strong leaders on that team, but I'm excited because we have a lot of strong leaders on this team. The seniors have stepped up, every single one. They have busted their butts, and we're really, really excited about this team and this senior class.
And looking at week one, it's a couple of weeks away. You guys are at home for the first time, I believe, in 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Just talk about that feeling having Friday Night Lights week one back at Padua.
It's a great thing. We've got a lot of construction going on right near our stadium. We're excited about that. We're excited to be home 6 weeks this year, and we're excited to open the season and kind of show our fan base what we can do at home.
And looking at that Alliance game specifically, your defense did a great job against the Aviators last year on the road, as you only allowed 6 points to a very good team. How do you find the balance in your pregame speech of saying, okay, we allowed 6 points last year, we can do this, to then say, you know what, it's a different group, we have to execute? How do you find that middle ground?
It's easy for me. Alliance has 100% of my attention. That's really the only thing we're focused on. Last year's game was last year's game. I think you've been in football long enough to know that sometimes games, they just kind of snowball and get away from you. So I don't look at it as anything like special that we did. I look at it as we were fortunate. It was a complete game, offensively, defensively, special teams. I have a lot of respect for Alliance. I'm well aware of who they are, how dangerous they are. I don't at all expect anything like that. Last year was last year. I expect a very motivated Alliance team to come in here and battle for a victory. They have an extremely tough physical offensive line. They have outstanding skill players, speed at the wide receiver, a lot of shiftiness, power at the running back position, and I believe they've got some new quarterback situation going on there, and so we're quite aware of that.
Looking back to last year, one more time before I ask you about your goals for this year, 24 points per game allowed last year, slightly more than you guys scored, but not a bad spot to be. But the big thing is finding consistency. There were 2 games last year where you guys were shut out, but at the same time, you shut out 2 different teams. How do you guys find that balance with your offense to say, you know what, if we can hold them to 17, we need you to score 20?
Sure. I think that's part of the coaching kind of recipe. I think every staff does that. A big part of our defensive game plan is what are we doing on offense and special teams too. Sometimes the best defense that I could call is for our offense to go on a long drive and eat up the clock and keep the ball out of their hands. So, and similarly, offense will speak with me, and then obviously with special teams. So, just putting together a complete game and a complete game plan that kind of coordinates and works with each other, I think is key.
And then finally, as I alluded to before that question, what is a personal goal for yourself as a coach heading into this year? And then what is a goal for your defense as a unit heading into 2025?
Not to sound too cliche, but win. An ugly win is a win. So it is to limit the offense's ability to score 1 point less than we can. As far as my personal goals as a coach is to get the very best out of each one of these young men, the guys that are on our roster within our program, freshman to senior. I think that's every coach's goal, and I think that's our job, is to get the most out of them as athletes, but also the most out of them as young men, and help prepare them to go from young boys to young men and go off and achieve great things in their future.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we are here with Padua football head coach Kevin Kubit ahead of this big year. Year number 3 for you as the head coach. What are your thoughts heading in after 2, I would say, completely different years? One ended in heartbreak against Walsh. The other one, a great underdog campaign that led you guys to the regional final.
Going into year 3, each year you change as a head coach. You're looking at practice plans, you're looking at off season, you're looking at schemes. I just think going into year 3, we probably had our best off season in the weight room as far as lifting and conditioning. And, obviously it's no secret we're replacing a lot of starters, and it's fun to see the competition so far in camp.
And looking at that, replacing starters, how do you go about that as a head coach, measuring guys, whether it be in January or now in the weight room? And how do you go and say, okay, this is who my guy is going to be, as it's a big decision in every position. You look at the guys you lost, Barker at Allegheny now, Rod at ODU, Hamidi, the big one at West Virginia, the list goes on.
Yeah, you're always looking at your players as they compete in the offseason. In the weight room, how much time are they putting in? What's the numbers they're putting up? And then when you get on the field, you're looking at, are they picking up the schemes? Are they understanding their playbook? Are they playing fundamentally? The good thing for us is we've built depth over these last 3 years. This season we have a freshman class of 35. In the previous 2 years we've been just over 30. So the depth is there.
And looking at this squad, Any big transfers to talk about, or is it just guys that have been with you since day one at Padua?
They've been with us since day one. You know, no Bo Barney transfers, no Nick Barker, no Connor Williams transfer in, and that's okay. Like I said, we've built depth, and one of the number one things when me and my staff took over was get out there and recruit more, and our numbers are showing.
Heading into week one, it's the same opponent you guys saw last year in Alliance. And the guys that are coming back, they know that was a great 34-6 victory at Mount Union. They remember being under those Friday night lights and that excitement of winning at such a great facility. How do you find the middle ground between, okay, we can beat these guys, we did it last year, and okay, it's a new year, we gotta always fire on all cylinders?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's a new season. That was the 2024 season. That was week 1, 2024. You know, for our guys and for our program, it's 2025, and we get to open up week 1 at home for the first time in 3 years. So, you know, the excitement's there, and it's Padua Stadium's going to be rocking on August 22nd.
And looking at the rest of the schedule, as your season's not defined by 1 week, even if there's a rivalry or a big game in there. Out of the 10 guys on your schedule, 7 you saw last year, 6 in the regular season. But let's talk about those new teams. Bedford, a group that you scrimmaged last year, they're on the up and up. Big Walnut, a big surprise, I believe, in the Columbus area. They had a great campaign in Division II. And then CVCA, who was a lot of people's pick to make it all the way to the regional final. Talk about those additions and how that kind of came about. Obviously, CVCA, that was more of a prescribed measure from the North Coast Conference. Well,
first of all, we've scrimmaged Bedford the last 2 years, and they had an opening, and talking to their previous head coach, Zach Toth, we decided to play for the next 2 years, and a lot of respect for that program over there. And you know, we're on the road and we get to play in beautiful Bedford Stadium, so that'll be fun. And you know, 2 years ago we went down to Waterson, so we're familiar with playing down in that Columbus area. And Big Walnut we know is going to be a challenge, and we'll see where we're at week 6. You know, we're replacing a lot of starters, and hopefully by week 6 we're going to be clicking, and we'll see what'll happen down there. And you know, CVCA is going to be a very good opponent. You know, not playing them yet, but in my eyes they are preseason conference champs, and you know, we'll see that, and that's going to be our homecoming game. So, you know, little fuel for us, a little motivation will be playing them on homecoming.
Next question is the one that I previewed to you a little bit ago. I'm sure you remember that night just like it was yesterday, that cold November night in 2021 at Brooklyn, the night that you could say Padua's heart broke to Holy Name. Usually they play at Royalton. This year, week 10, your rivals. Redemption for that year, redemption for last year at Brooklyn. Talk about all those storylines, and for you, how is this just a full circle moment, but at the same time, how do you not elevate this game to be, I would say, bigger than it actually is?
Well, I mean, it is a big game. It's a big game for, you know, first off, both school communities, as both communities come out in full force, you know, young, old, and new. And each year's different in that rivalry. You know, I'm sure they know who we have coming back. We know who they have coming back. And, you know, it's back to week 10. So, you know, a lot's going to be on the line for both schools, hopefully going into that game. And, you know, maybe there's a possibility we play again week 11. Don't know. But we'll worry about Holy Name, you know, after CVCA week 9.
And finally, there's always room to improve, even if you go undefeated and win a state title. With that being said, what is a personal goal for yourself as a head coach heading into this year?
It's just continuing to bring this team together. You know, our number one goal as a coaching staff is when they come in as young men when they come in as young men and then they leave as men, that they're ready for the challenges of society. 2025, it's a different society than it was, you know, 10 years ago in 2015. So we just got to keep molding these young men to become better men and better leaders when they leave Padua.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank you.